everybody, hope you're all doing really well and welcome to the Brooklyn Nine-Nine tag. This is a tag that Grace Dion over at the channel of the same name has come up with. It's sort of like a version 2 of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There was, I think, a Brooklyn Nine-Nine sort of tag sort of going round, but she sort of decided to sort of update the questions and do them all about the characters. I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I haven't had a chance to see the most recent season, so I said, God, please do not put any spoilers in the comments. I haven't seen it. It's not aired in the UK yet. I really want to see it though. It's just such a fun show and I really love all the characters and stuff and their interactions, and the humour in it's really decent. And yeah, so when I saw that Grace had done a tag around it, I wanted to do it. Sort of, you know, come up with books that have some things to do with the characters from the show. And yeah, without any further ado, let's go. So the first one is Jake Peralta, a book or series with amazing humour. For me, I have to go with the Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue series. This is the second one in the series, Ladies' Guide to Petticoats and Piracy. Especially the first one, I did find it to be really funny, just the things that our main characters get up to and the situations they find themselves in. You know, it was just very fun and funny, and you know, the humour is quite good in it and things, and I just do find myself laughing out loud at some of the stuff that happens. Especially when with Monty and stuff, he's a very fun character to follow and the things he comes out with are just very entertaining. So yeah, it's a really fun series and a really funny humour. Number 2 is Amy Santiago, a book or series with amazing female characters. So for this one, I'm going to go with The Witchlands, which is one of my favourite series of all time. I have an entire week of videos around this series, so if you want to see spoiler-free discussions and stuff, I will link those in the cards and also in the description. But the characters in this are all fantastic. You know, you've got Safi and Azul, who are our main characters, and you know, that's who you sort of follow and their friendship as two women and things. Like, there's such a focus on female friendships in this series that I absolutely love to see. But then outside of Safi and Azul, you have Vanessa, Vivia, Styx, Ryber. So many female characters in this book series that are all so different and well-rounded and have their own place in the story and have such interesting relationships with one another. I just love it so much, and I love the way Susan Dennard writes all her female characters. The one I'm going to go with for this question is Daughters of Renee by Renee Keamayo. You know, this follows two sisters again, really, but they're in sort of different places in the book, and there was sort of almost a subversion of like my expectations with some of the female characters in this story. There's this one character who's like the really bitchy kind of popular girl, but then you actually find out there's more to her, and she actually does end up forming an unlikely friendship with someone that you never really expect her to. And I just love the way the women in this story sort of interacted with one another and the friendships that they had, and that sort of subversion as well of my expectations just sort of really makes me love this series. The second one for this is coming out really, really soon. I'm really excited to see who else we're going to meet and what other interesting characters we're going to see in the next book. Number 3 is Rosa Diaz, a book or series with a great mystery. So this one I've gone with the sort of Truly Devious series. So this is the 4th one in the series. I don't have any of my copies of the original 3 there at home, so I'm just going to wave this one at you. So it's comprised of Truly Devious, The Vanishing Stair and The Hand on the Wall, and they're sort of like the original kind of trilogy, following this one mystery about this school that had loads of disappearances and stuff and murder, and they never found, like, you know, who did it and stuff, and it's been this huge mystery, and this one girl who really likes mysteries and true crime and stuff decides she wants to attend this school and she wants to solve the mystery of what happened. And you know, it takes all 3 books for everything to sort of come to light. Each book kind of reveals its own little card, so because there's like almost like 3 or 4 different threads of the mystery, but they're all kind of tied together. I really liked just seeing how it was paced across that trilogy. I haven't read this one yet. This is the 4th book in the series that's going to open up a new mystery. I don't know if it's just if it's resolved in this one or if it's going to be like a sort of sequel trilogy almost type thing. But yeah, it's just a really, really interesting mystery that had lots of different layers to it. As I said, you know, you've got the mystery of the original kidnappings and murders and this other plot thread that you're not sure if that's connected or not, and then you've also got someone in the present day who's committing murders and stuff where there's loads of accidents happening and you're not sure if they're accidents or not, and then they're all sort of connected to one another and whatnot, and yeah, it's just really a great series and I really enjoyed it. Number 4 is Terry Jeffords, a book or series that turned out differently from what you expected. I'm going to have to go with As Good as Dead, which is the 3rd book in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. about through this book, it takes a complete fucking left turn, and whilst it totally makes sense now that I have like read it and thought about it, when it was going there, I was just like, oh, this is where we're going. Oh, okay. So yeah, but it was a really, really interesting sort of plot twist and direction for this book to go in. And it's a really fantastic series as well. You know, it follows this girl who, for a school project, decides she wants to sort of look into the murders of these two teenagers, the murder of this one teenager and the suicide of her boyfriend from a few years ago, because our main character Pip doesn't actually believe that the boyfriend killed his girlfriend and then committed suicide. She thinks there's something else going on, and she kind of opens that up. And then, yeah, it's just a really, really good series, sort of following this sort of teenage detective type idea. Really interesting themes of like social media and technology and stuff going out throughout this series, which I thought was quite interesting. I am going to have a full series review coming up soon. But yeah, this book kind of does take a bit of a left turn, and I loved it. But yeah, it took me completely by surprise. Number 5 is Gina Linetti, a book or series that you loved that was outside of your comfort zone. And I read almost exclusively fantasy, with the occasional sort of YA, mystery or contemporary thrown in there. But one thing that's really out of my comfort zone are memoirs or non-fiction. So for this one, I'm going with The Marks Left on Her, which is a fictionalised memoir about the survivor of sexual assault. You know, it deals with some really heavy themes, and the format of the book's quite different to anything I'd ever read before. It's a collection of poems and prose and dialogue and lists and things. But it's a really fantastic book. I have got a spoiler-free review for it, and I highly recommend it if you do want to step out your comfort zone, head towards some more non-fiction. Like I said, it is a fictionalised memoir, so whilst it's based on true events, it is almost treated like a story. And so it's sort of got that bridge between fiction and non-fiction. And yeah, it does deal with some really heavy themes, which I'm not used to reading about outside of a fantasy context. You know, this did actually happen to somebody, which I think just adds a bit more weight to them. And they're also quite, personal. And personal to me as well. You know, this is about survival of sexual assault. It's about the Me Too movement, so obviously as a woman this is something I can really understand with and connect with. So yeah, it was completely out of my comfort zone. I'm very glad I read it. I did enjoy it, and it's a fantastic book. And as I said, go watch my spoiler-free review for it, because I talk more about my thoughts of it there, but it's a really, really good book. Number 6 is Charles Boyle, a book or series with immersive description, food or otherwise. So for this one I've gone with Peralta by Susanna Clarke. I thought the description in this was really, really great. It's very atmospheric without being overly atmospheric, and you definitely get a really good description of the labyrinth and where Piranesi is. And yeah, this is such a good book as well. Like, I absolutely loved this. Highly recommend it. It's so good. Number 7 is Captain Holt, a book or series that subverts classic tropes. This one I find quite hard to sort of do, because I don't really think I can find too many books that do like the classic trope subversion, apart from maybe, that one thing in Daughters of Reed that I mentioned earlier. But for this one I've gone with The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman, because in this world, this is about a sort of giant interdimensional library, and our main character, Irene, is a librarian, and she gets sent out into different alternative worlds to go and steal books to bring back to the library. And this series is completely nuts. It's got everything you want from fantasy and everything that you could have from fantasy. It's got dragons, fae, different time periods, vampires, werewolves, magic, steampunk, it's got loads going on. And the fae in this, the reason why I bring it up for the subversion of classic tropes is it does do interesting things with tropes, in that the fae in this series are not just, your classic sexy elves that we tend to get a lot nowadays. The fae are creatures that physically embody literary tropes. So you'll meet characters who are like sort of seductress types. You'll meet a character who's like the sort of damsel in distress sort of princess character. You also just, you'll get the sort of almost like secretary type character or something, or just like characters that kind of fit within different narratives. And, fae are creatures of chaos, magic and stuff, and the more chaotic a world is, the more likely reality around them is to change to fit the narrative they believe themselves to be living through. The humans will start to behave and speak and almost be like roles within the story. And it's just really fun to see our main character have to navigate working with these fae, especially particularly powerful fae that, reality will change around them. And she's sort of having to use her knowledge of stories and tropes and things to understand what's going to happen next, how to maybe prompt this character. If they've got like a villainous character, she can very easily get them to do a villainous monologue where they'll tell them her plan. because that's their character, that's the trope that they're living through. And she'll sort of, she'll push people in the right direction and manipulate her way through all these narrative tropes and stuff to sort of survive and get the information she wants and things. It's just really fun to see. I absolutely love just the way that they're used. They're not really subverted, but as I said, it's really fun to see a character have to deal with them and, manipulate her way through using just the knowledge that she has of different tropes from reading and being a librarian. It's a really, really great series. I'm going to do a video on it at some point, but yeah, really, really fun. Number 8 is Hitchcock and Scully, a book or series that made you want to sit in one place until you finished it. And that is Fireborn by Rosaria Minda. I read this all in one day, could not put it down. I highly recommend this book. I love it so much. Just got so hooked into it, and yeah, it was a really, really great read. Cannot wait to read the sequel. And number 9 is Peralta, a book or series with an amazing romance. And I personally really love the romances in Akemi Dawn Bowman's contemporaries. So this is Starfish and this is Harley in the Sky. They're both standalone contemporaries, but Starfish is sort of childhood friends to lovers, and Harley in the Sky is just sort of almost like, it's not enemies to lovers, but there's sort of there's a bit of a sort of tension between them from the get-go sort of thing that then slowly develops into a bit of a sort of relationship. And I just find the romances in both these books just be so sweet and really easy to read, and it makes sense within the context of the characters and the context of the story. They're well developed and they're just really sweet and really cute to read about, and yeah, I love her contemporaries, they're so good. And number 10 is The Squad Tag Friends. So obviously the people I'm going to tag are just kind of people I've picked out who I think these prompts are really interesting, and regardless of whether you've watched the show, I think people could do this tag. I have no idea if these people watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine. If you don't, I'm sorry, obviously you don't have to do this. There's no pressure to do this whatsoever. I just think there's really interesting prompts, and I just want to tag people to do them. So, if you haven't seen the show, feel free to do these prompts, because they're really interesting and they're easy enough to do even if you haven't seen the show. First of all, Revenge at Long Last. I'm going to tag Walker over at Walker Writes 7. If you've watched any of my other tag videos, he's usually the person that tags me in them, and I've been waiting for my chance to finally revenge tag him, so it shall be today. Second person I'm going to tag is Miss Reads a Lot. I really love her channel, and I would really love to see her response to some of these prompts, regardless of whether she's seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine. She reads really interesting sort of books, and I just would really like to see what she has to say. And finally, a booktube newbie is Josie Hillsell. I really love her channel. She has a really sort of wide variety of genres that she reads. She reads fantasy, historical, contemporaries, romances, thrillers. She's a really, really great channel, has some really great recommendations, and it would be really interesting to see what she has to say about these prompts, regardless of whether she's seen the show or not. But as I said earlier, to the three of them, no pressure whatsoever to do this. This is just, I'm just sort of picking people that I haven't seen tagged that I would like to maybe see their responses. But thank you so much for watching. What did you think of my answers to this tag? Let me know down below. Definitely go check out Grace's original tag, and feel free to do this yourselves if you want to. Feel free to leave a like on this video, leave a comment down below, and feel free to subscribe. I'm currently posting twice a week, depending on how much time I have between university classes. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.